Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a wild, honestly pretty hilarious trip back to the mid-2000s. We're going to decode a very specific, totally absurd corner of cultural commentary. Esquire's Guide to Life, better known simply as The Rules. Now, if you haven't stumbled across this absolute masterpiece of editorial satire before, well, you're in for a treat. It started as this long-running feature in Esquire magazine and eventually became a whole book. It's basically a tongue-in-cheek survival guide that takes the most mundane, highly subjective opinions about daily life and treats them as if they're absolute, unbreakable laws of the universe.
Right, so to really get these rules, you kind of have to understand their origin story. The editors came up with this brilliant, completely mythical backstory just to give everything this ridiculous sense of weight. They claimed they found this hand-calligraphed, letter-bound tome hidden way deep in the magazine's research library, like literally tucked behind dusty stacks of old Popular Mechanics issues. And the myth goes, on the third Tuesday of every month, a staff member has made his pilgrimage to the book. They'd supposedly flip through, jot down whatever ancient maxim caught their eye, and then bestow it upon the modern reader. It's so good.
And they fully committed to the bit. The original foreword perfectly sets the tone. The editors lay out their grand mission, which was basically just mixing everyday life lessons with a complete sense of the absurd. They actually admit, some of these rules sound like pure exasperation, and others sound like utter hysteria. But because they're brown in a book, they must be true. They were documenting the sheer chaos of modern manhood, one incredibly specific rule at a time. Okay, let's dive straight into our first category, food and drink. Because obviously, before you can conquer the world, you absolutely must master the unwritten laws of basic sustenance. Think about this number for a second, 4.3. According to rule number 22, this is the exact number of years it takes for science to flip-flop on whether eggs are good for you or bad for you. And honestly, they kind of hit the nail on the head, didn't they? It's like the entire whiplash of health science distilled right down to a single decimal point calculation.
Moving right along, we get this vital piece of fruit-based validation from Rule 31, there is no shame in a good mango. Now, why would there be shame in the first place? No idea. But the rulebook is spoken, so your conscience is totally clear next time you're browsing the produce aisle.
Keeping that rapid-fire culinary rhythm going, we have Rule 37. Listen, there is zero shame in a peanut butter sandwich. Zero. It is a dignified, foundational pillar of the American diet, and the rulebook demands we stop pretending otherwise. And wrapping up our food section, let's look at Rule 50. The soft taco is the only taco that matters. Now you might think, hey, that's just a subjective culinary preference. Nope. In the Esquire universe, this is a definitive law of physics. The crunchy taco has literally been legislated out of existence. So now that we know how to eat, let's wade into some slightly more treacherous waters with social graces and missteps. This is where the rules get truly vicious. Okay, this one's going to hit close to home for anyone who works in an office. Rule 11 states that people who habitually mark emails as urgent usually possess neither the authority to send an urgent email nor the intelligence to tell the difference. Ouch, right? It's a ruthless, but let's be real, incredibly accurate exposure of that manufactured panic sitting in your inbox right now. It's also super fascinating to contrast how different eras handled conflict. Take Rule 48. It points out the very modern, practical reality that almost any argument between friends can be resolved with a quick Google search. But then you have Rule 1, pure old-school dominance. It says that in an argument between two men, the one chewing a cigar naturally has the upper hand. Forget the facts, right? You just need a good prop. The book is also absolutely packed with these highly specific conversational faux pas that just instantly strip away your credibility. Rule 2 warns that if a guy says he's pumped, yeah, he's usually about to do something stupid. Rule 4, never trust a man who calls the bathroom the little boy's room. And my absolute favorite, Rule 59, never trust anyone who refers to their college as a little school in Boston and then just pauses, waiting for you to ask if they mean Harvard. It is the ultimate tell for insufferable false modesty. All right, let's shift gears to pop culture realities, because Hollywood and television, they operate under their own bizarre, unwritten guidelines. Take this definitive biological fact of the entertainment industry. Rule 14, actors are short. Rule 15, comedians are shorter. Notice there's no further context provided? That's because none is needed. It's just an immutable law of Hollywood geometry. Now, what's really interesting here is the deadpan accuracy of Rule 5 regarding sci-fi tropes. When aliens talk, they never use contractions. Think about it. Every alien movie you've ever seen, they never say don't or can't. It is always do not and cannot. It's one of those hyper-specific observations that just ruins 100 movie scripts the second you realize it.
And speaking of unbreakable cinematic boundaries, we have Rule 13. In movies, Italians can play Jews and Jews can play Italians, but neither Jews nor Italians can play Lutherans. They present this as a profound foundational law of casting that directors have strictly obeyed for a century.
Moving on to our final section, personal style and conduct. This is where we look inward at how a man carries himself, calculates his worth, and defines his overall style.
2%. According to Rule 18, 2% is the exact mathematically proven probability that you will be seated next to a beautiful, single woman on your next flight. They treat this deeply disappointing reality as cold, hard, demographic data. Tough break.
But hey, the mathematics of vehicular manhood get even more complex. Rule 26 dictates that a man driving a minivan is exactly half a man. Ouch. However, Rule 27 gives us the counterweight. A man on a 1949 Indian motorcycle, traveling at 93 miles an hour, is precisely 3.729 men. But they make sure to clarify that this multiplier only lasts until he hits a bridge abutment, at which point he tragically returns to being two halves of a man.
And check out how this escalates. Rule 74 serves as our official guide through the terminology of pure chaos. If you're describing a chaotic situation, you must respect the hierarchy. Starting from the bottom, you've got willy-nilly. Then you step up to hugger-mugger, escalate to hurly-burly, until you finally reach maximum overdrive, pell-mell.
Class and wealth come with their own strict linguistic rules, too. Rule 92 clarifies that only the very rich are allowed to use seasons as verbs, to summer in the Hamptons or winter in Aspen. But Rule 93 throws in a critical catch. Absolutely no one, not even the Sultan of Brunei, is allowed to use autumn as a verb. It is strictly forbidden.
As we start to wrap up this explainer, we really need to correct an old adage. Rule 109 clarifies that the road to hell is actually not paved with good intentions. No, it's paved with smooth jazz CDs, herbal teas, John Tesh specials, and low-fat cheese. Honestly, that's an oddly specific, deeply terrifying vision of eternal torment straight out of the 90s. Finally, one last piece of crucial behavioral advice for aging gracefully without looking totally ridiculous. Rule 103. A man over the age of 30 should not pick a fistfight by thrusting out his neck, flexing, and screaming, "It's go time," to passersby. If you take away absolutely nothing else from this explainer today, please remember this one. So, what does this all mean? Having decoded this wonderfully chaotic satirical survival guide, I want to leave you with a question to mull over. Which of these bizarre rules are you currently breaking? Are you out there sending urgent emails? Are you secretly eating crunchy tacos? Or, heaven forbid, are you calling it the little boys' room? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this dive into the rules, and we'll see you in the next explainer.